She's conservative and I'm liberal, and yet we've been friends for almost 40 years. Everyone says you shouldn't discuss politics, religion, or money. And we say that's exactly what friends should be talking about. Join us as we tackle the conversations you're having in your head, but are too scared to say out loud. Welcome to We've Got to Talk. Welcome, Jolene, and welcome to our amazing editor and producer, Brianna Ansaldo.
Brianna is the head honcho at Bambi Media, a podcast production agency based in Brisbane, Australia. She placed 11th in Australian Idol, and she worked as a touring musician and songwriter for over a decade. She has a bachelor's degree in audio production at the Queensland Conservatorium of Music, and she is the best producer
the best
two girls could have.
The best.
Welcome,
Brianna.
Woo, woo. Woo! Oh my gosh, what an intro. Nice work.
Before we get into it, if you want to actually Google or YouTube Brianna Carpenter, you'll see all the Australian Idol stuff. It's kind of amazing to be able to see it because having worked with you as a grown-ass woman to then go back in time, it was a pretty remarkable thing to be able to see.
Yeah, that whole part of my life was quite amazing, really, to be honest.
Yeah, I bet.
It would be.
It was really weird being famous, like not being able to leave the house. Mm-hmm. You're at the grocery store and you're trying to get some strawberries, and then people are like, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" I'm like, "What? Yeah, okay, it's a bit weird, but sure." All right. It was strange. And having paparazzi come after you and like take photos of you and then sell those photos for like $35,000 and
what?
And you were so young, like so young.
I was like 21,
right? The reason that we're having Brianna on is, first of all, to introduce her to all of you, because she makes us sound hopefully smart and look pretty good and gets this show out to us and to you guys every single week. And we're so incredibly grateful, and we love her, and she's become a friend, and she's funny as hell. So we wanted to introduce her, but also in the world of We've Got to Talk, the thing that we kept finding really fascinating was how Jolene and I in the last year and a half have discovered how much the algorithms, how much news media has pitted Americans against each other. We are the red team and the blue team, and they're doing their damnedest to make sure that we hate each other. Then our producer Brianna would send us these clips, and she'd be like, "You need to cover this." And we would look at it and go, "What is this?" Like, it made neither of us knew what you were talking about. And it made us think, oh my gosh, what is the world seeing? We've got to have Brianna on to talk about, no, I know you're one person in one country with one lens, but it made us think, and especially in light with what happened with the World Cup, which was such a celebration for us, such an amazing thing to see some positive things come out of America. It made us think even more, oh my gosh, what have they been seeing that they're so surprised that we are kind and nice and fun?
Our first question to you is, what's your initial gut perspective of America? Like, what if somebody were to say, describe America right now, what would you say?
Oh, okay. So I think it would be that place doesn't make sense because there are guns everywhere. Which it's like you guys thinking that there's snakes everywhere here, and like we've got spiders and everything in Australia, and everything's gonna kill you and it's poisonous all the time. The other side, I think, is going, I'm scared of that place because there's guns everywhere.
Wow.
Like, as an Australian, that's something that is definitely front of mind because we don't have that, other than that terrible Bondi shooting just recently.
Yeah.
That's not part of our lives here at all. And so a lot of the news that we get fed are shootings and all the terrible stuff that happens in schools. This is stuff that we're seeing a lot. And so that makes us scared to come there with our children, like to move there, let's say, and then enroll our children in school because of the guns, really. That's a number one big thing. And then the other big thing is the health system seems to be whack from our side. Just because we have, what is essentially universal health care. Anyone, you don't have to pay for anything really. If you're in the public system, you can rock up and get treated and then get no bill at the end. And that's another thing that we see a lot of in America, being like, wow, how do they not have health, like the medical stuff for people that are poor? And then obviously you've got Medicaid and things now too, but we don't also really understand even how that potentially works. So I would say they're the two things that when I think about America, when I talk to my friends about America, the people are fantastic, like really funny, lovely, open, very good at talking about like giving each other compliments and having emotions and showcasing all them way better than Australians. You'll really talk each other up. You'll support each other. You'll love each other. Australians tend to sort of bring each other down a little bit more, or make more jokes about each other. Like we're a bit more sort of like that. So the people are beautiful and wonderful, and it's just awesome. But the guns and the healthcare are the things that we as Australians go, well, that makes no sense.
When you get those images about the shootings and the healthcare, is it from social media? That's my first question. And my second question is, has the coverage of America increased since Trump took office? Or is that just our imaginations? Or like, is America just part of the zeitgeist?
I think since Obama, there's been a lot more coverage of America in Australia.
Okay.
We were all like so proud of Obama, I guess, just being like, man, this guy seems to really be helping, that from the outside anyway. Like that's how it's displayed to us in the news. And obviously, he got things wrong, but that is definitely where the coverage was more at the forefront. I definitely remember growing up and having sort of a bit of Bill Clinton on the news, and definitely George Bush, especially around, when the two towers happened and like that. Ugh, yes. I remember that night. Like I remember what I was doing when that happened. We had coverage of all that. So, but certainly from Obama onwards, we didn't see as much about Biden. It kind of went off a little bit.
Honestly,
like
Brianna, we didn't either. I mean, it was during COVID. First of all, he was, I guess, part of COVID, but he
came out of.
But I mean, and as you knew from one of the episodes that we did, how much was he really running the country? I don't know. Like he
didn't do a lot of press conferences.
Right. Yeah,
and he didn't do a lot of.
Missing.
So there weren't a lot of opportunities to see him.
Yeah.
Like Trump is in front of the cameras all the time.
Oh my gosh,
all the time.
All the
so
time.
we see a lot of Trump.
Okay, so do you get your media from social? Like when you get news from America, is it social media? Is it?
Mostly I do. Yeah, mostly I do. Just because I find the news channels, like programs, just atrocious. They cover like 4 things and then they go to sport, and I'm like, I don't care. Why is there now 20 minutes of sport? Okay, geez, well, surely there's some other things happening in the world. So I get it from social media.
In which social media?
TikTok and Instagram. So if I'm looking for news about America, I will go to TikTok. And that's the one that when I'm researching for you guys or looking at what is potential topics or just seeing what's happening, what's trending, I'll open up TikTok and I'll just start scrolling. I won't be searching for anything in particular. That's where I see a lot more than even Instagram. TikTok is where it's at.
It's interesting, though, when you say that because, I mean, I didn't go on TikTok until we started the podcast, and you knew that I lasted about 30 seconds before I said, can you please deal with the TikTok? Because I can't deal with the TikTok. It's like a toxic cesspool. What's interesting to me about this, Brianna, is that when we had Stephen Hawkins on, the More in Common researcher, and he talked about TikTok and he talked about China, and he said how that the TikTok in China, I'm going to misquote him, but it was like culturally like lifting up and educational.
Yes,
and that,
edutainment,
right?
yep.
And that the TikTok, I think he said in the U.S., but I'm wondering possibly if this is worldwide, that it's about this sort of toxic cesspool of like, what are they feeding you? This is more Jolene to me, is like, what's behind this conspiracy? But I've learned on this, like, oh, that's a real thing. But there are certain people, certain countries even, that don't want us to succeed. And so in the bigger picture, thinking, well, gosh, how is America going to survive this if we can't survive each other? And then the world is like, yeah, you guys suck. We're done with you.
Well, I don't certainly not from, my TikTok algorithm. It's never showcasing Americans as bad people, right? When I'm sort of looking at things, the people that are coming up on my TikTok, they're just generally nice. Like if they're just face to camera talking about something, or they're going through their day or their vlogs or their whatever. It's only when it's, I think, more relating to politics and what's happening with Trump, and also when there was the ICE stuff, where they were, well, that's still going on.
Yes.
All those things are the things that we see. So we're not looking at you guys going, oh man, America sucks. Like Americans suck at all. We're just going, man, there's some really like just bad stuff going on as far as like politically, and then also, the other things I mentioned as well.
So as you've been with us for a year and a half, has your perspective changed on the political scene in America?
I understand more what the difference is between a Republican and a Democrat. That was something that I didn't quite get. Like, I felt like surely they can't be that different, because here in Australia, it's not really that different between the two like major parties. Whereas in America, it definitely is very different how people think on one side or the other about certain issues. And there's some pretty big differences, I think. But from between you two, because you are more moderate and you're more sort of in the middle, those aren't the stories we see either. Same as you. We see these extreme left rights. Yeah.
Sure,
and we don't see much of the middle. So even though I understood there was Republicans and Democrats, I saw that you were very different, like on social media, but then also you two have made me feel more like, oh, they're not actually that different.
That's good. That's good.
We've done our job.
We've done our job.
You've done your, and I agree with both of you on a lot of issues. So it's like, I'm not sitting here being, I'm more Nicole. No, or I'm more Jolene. Not at all. There's a lot of times where I'm like, I definitely agree with Jolene on this.
Right.
Right. Or I definitely agree with Nicole on that.
Right.
So I find it really interesting.
And Australia is a parliament system?
Yes. Yeah. So we have a prime minister, and he's not very popular at the moment because he brought in a bunch of tax changes, and that's causing some problems. And then we have this kind of woman at the moment who is the head of this independent called One Nation, Pauline Hanson. You can look her up. And she's causing a lot of problems, and people are comparing her to Trump. And not wanting her. She's very Australian. You'll probably laugh when you look her up, but
What does that mean? She's very Australian.
She's just like, she ran a fish and chip shop. She's got a very Australian accent.
Okay.
Like, she says some really Australian things that you're like, oh my God, what are you doing? So yeah, she's kind of.
So
our
is she
Trump.
Is she in Parliament now?
No, so she's the leader of a party that isn't in, and in another couple of years we'll have an election again, and then people are like either really scared that she's going to get in there somehow or
Right.
become the leader of the opposition, but she's just making a lot of noise right now, and that's causing people some anguish, or some other people being like, yay.
Is it like the German government where they have several parties and they...
Yeah, we've got like a Liberal and a Labor government, and then we've got sort of independent ones sort of around it and underneath it, but it's really only, and we've got the Greens, which is like our sustainable party, I suppose. And they're actually quite high up too, I suppose. Like they're very well known, but it's normally either it's Liberal or Labor, but then there are all these sort of other parties underneath that don't generally get in, but everyone sort of communicates with each other.
So you don't have the fighting that we do.
Yes, I was gonna ask.
Not really. I mean, a little bit, but it's kind of a joke. Like it's certainly not like America. And when our actual elections happen, whew, I mean, they're over in 2 seconds. Like you guys have this giant flipping runway that seems to take, like, it's like you're already talking
Yes.
about the next one and it's just ages away. Ours
2
is
years.
like, oh, what? The election? Oh, that's next week. Okay, cool. I got to go vote. You know, like it's not as big of a lead up as yours is, and there's certainly not the money
I
behind it.
was going to say the
like
money
America.
must not be there then.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, the
not
one
at all.
thing that I did not realize is that there is a compulsory aspect to your elections.
Yes.
You all have to vote.
We must vote. Yeah. Otherwise,
That's
we get
awesome.
That's
in
amazing.
It is so
Both
good.
of us, we are bipartisan, totally down with this.
Absolutely. So tell me how that works.
Yeah, how does it work?
When you turn 18, you have to enroll to vote. And then every time there is an election for anything, like for our local council or, you know, federal government or like local government, things like that, we must vote. And we get told about it. You know, you'll hear about it in the news saying that it's voting day is coming up and there's all these places that you can go and vote, just like in America. And we have to rock up and vote. And that's it. Like, that's as complicated as it is. Everyone does it. And if they don't, then they get fined. And
Like, well, how much?
I don't know. I've never had to. I could Google it, but I don't know. I don't know what that would be.
But
Because everybody just does
but
it.
Everyone just,
Everyone
like,
just does
it's
it.
just like your civic duty. That's just you've been
Yeah.
raised and that's what you do.
Yep. And there's always massive lines. So when you go to vote, you have to try and get there early, and then you'll still be in a line, and then you'll stand in the line, and then you'll go to the old biddies at the front because they run it, which is awesome.
Of course.
There's always the
Must
old
be a
biddies.
They
worldwide
do that.
thing.
They do
It's
that in
just-
America.
I love them so much. I was like, oh my gosh.
Do you have to show an
yes.
ID?
You don't have to show an ID anymore. You have like a piece of
Card.
paper that you get in the mail, yeah, and then
Okay.
you just like take that in. But I think if you don't have that, then yeah, you have to show your ID. But yeah, the biddies run it. We do the thing, we get the thing, and then we sign get the people in. So it's pretty simple.
And if you don't know who, like, if there's somebody that
Can
you
you
don't know
imagine?
anything about,
Yeah.
can you turn in a blank ballot? Like, can you
No.
go, like, you have
No.
to fill it out.
You have to fill it out. Yeah. I mean, I think there are some people that, write Bart Simpson or something on it, I'm sure. But
They do that here
But-
too.
yeah. But generally, yeah, no. I think maybe we just don't think it's as big of a deal here as in who's going to be in office. I'll do a little bit of research on who the person is, and that might be 2 weeks before. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see what they're running on, see what they're known for, and then make a decision off the back of that. And I haven't thought for months about it or watched a whole bunch of news about it, or because it's not the same. Like there isn't that, you're not consuming as much in Australia. You just kind of make your own decision privately.
But I mean, this is such a silly question, but obviously Australia has problems. Like, it's not like this idyllic
yeah.
place, right? But I'm just thinking, this is not part of our prepared. I'm just listening to you and thinking about, well, if my healthcare was sort of sorted out, like there are certain things that it sounds like, okay, this guy or this girl's in office, cool. Like, it seems that, and I know nothing about nothing, Jolene, I'm looking at you now, like, it almost feels like there's always more at stake in America. It's part of our, under the freedom, like, Go get it.
And isn't this the part of the great experiment? I mean, their government has been around for centuries, whereas we've only been around for 250 years. So we're trying to kind of figure it out. Do you have like professional political people? Do people, as a little kid, do you go, I want to be prime minister one day? Like, and everything that you do leads up to that. No.
Okay, I'm sorry,
really.
Brianna. There has to be a couple of, maybe not
I'm
you.
sure there is. It's not me. But there are definitely people that idolize, I guess, that idolize like our prime minister. And yeah, I mean, it was cool when we had Julia Gillard in because she was like the first female, and that was pretty amazing. But she got sort of ripped to shreds, I guess, just in that era that she was in. It was still very male dominated, and just the things that people would say, and she ended up getting like booted out. It was like not a great time. We were all looking to the New Zealand Prime Minister, looking at her and being like, wow, she's awesome too. Like, it was really nice to see some females going in and doing a really good job. We don't idolize them as much, I think, here, just generally, because I think you're right. Either side, like, yes, we've got our healthcare sorted and mostly, gun control, and there's some big issues that most people are really passionate about, that it doesn't matter who gets in because there's still, like, that's still going to be okay, generally. So I think that's probably why it's not as big of a deal, because yeah, there's not so much at stake. At the moment, we have some things going on with like gas, like the gas tax that we're trying to get our government to actually bring into place, because we have a lot of gas here in Australia, and we're selling it for way less than we should be. And, other countries are selling it for way more. And then we are trying to get off fossil fuels anyway. And so there's like this kind of conversation that's happening around sustainability, because Australia's got so much solar and good like solar power that's a real problem in our government at the moment, going, okay, how can we fix these issues? We also have a lot of mining here that's generating a lot of income, but also there's a lot of mining that's really bad, so that's kind of our problem. But either party is gonna have to deal with that as well.
Are you guys having conversations about data centers and this whole AI, the implementation of data centers and where to put them and the energy that's used and all that?
Yeah, we are having conversations. There are certainly slated to be some data centers happening, here in Australia. But again, it's kind of about how are those data centers going to be powered. And at the moment, these data centers are going to be potentially powered by fossil fuels. And then that's part of our problem, going, this is not the way, if we have to have data centers, they should not be powered by these old, terrible technologies that are killing our environment, So there is definitely a lot more chatter down here about the environment is a huge thing for a lot of people here in Australia. And I guess because we get hit really hard with global warming, and like if it gets hot, we get really hot, So that's a big deal for us.
In your social media feed, did you get to see the reaction to other people coming to America for the World Cup and the surprise that, did that get into your feed? Like, you saw all the positive things they were saying about America?
Yes, absolutely. They're not to begin with, but then they started to really coming in. And I was like, oh man, this looks so, like, everyone's having such a good time and they just love being there. And as I said at the beginning, it's like Americans, in my opinion anyway, you're just lovely. Like, you're always lovely. And whenever I've traveled, everyone is always so nice and so welcoming and so helpful and, all that. So it was really nice to see all of that on social media where that was just correct, and it was a really good break from just the negativity that you see.
I mean, also, like, living in New York and so many of the games were there, you could feel sort of the sadness that it was ending, because people really, really enjoyed just celebrating, like being out at bars or restaurants and being with people and not arguing, just just being together and celebrating. And there was this sense, I heard it over and over again. What are we going to do when the World Cup's over? What are we going to do? Some of these smaller cities, if you will, Kansas City, Dallas, what other one, Joe? Like Philadelphia. These cities so thrived economically and everything else because of the World Cup in a way, even more so than New York and Los Angeles, where it was not only this like rush of love of all these cool different people that could experience, their American culture, but they really economically thrived because it's not like the Super Bowl for the weekend. It's a month. It's a month of happy people coming and consuming and laughing and playing. And I can't, I think we just want another one of those World Cups like tomorrow.
We could have that. We're getting ready to start the college football season and the NFL season. And there are so many things that we could and do celebrate, but it just doesn't make the news. I think that's the thing that we've learned through all this is that there is this sense of community and, bipartisanship. You go to any football game and there's Democrats and Republicans there. So, it's like there are occasions for us to feel like this. We don't get it fed to us like we saw it. And is that, isn't that the sad part of all this is we're all excited to see this. And we're like, no, this actually could happen every day. We could have this.
I think what we see on social media is from the outside, we assume that you guys don't like each other at all. That's why I was so excited to work on this particular project because I was like, man, they're best friends and they're from two different sides. This is going to be crazy. What? How is this no one's going to say anything. They're not going to be honest about anything, so
this podcast is going to last for 2 weeks.
That's why I was so excited. Oh, yay. This is a quick, no, not at all. So that's the thing, that seeing that negative news all the time just makes you go, oh, Americans, they really don't like each other. There's a lot of hate. You see that there's a lot of yelling at each other.
So what has that been like, Brianna? Working on this, working with us, I'm assuming you're looking at American news in a way you never did before. Right? And so, and working with us, and I'm just thinking about how at the beginning, there was this sense of hey, Brianna, we want to do something that I don't think's been done yet. And trying to fight against the pumping out of the toxic crap of no, we don't want that photograph that's going to make us look like we're mad at each other, which is, of course, what gets the clicks. But how has this been for you?
Certainly at the beginning, it felt they're not quite saying what they want to say. When you first started it, there would be sometimes in the edit, I'd be like, oh, no, that hasn't quite gone where it could have gone, someone's not saying the whole thing. You just have to let that run its course and see what happens over a longer period of time. That part to me was interesting at the beginning, being they are a little bit more reserved than I want them to be. And then as you've gone along, you've definitely loosened up. And I think that's because you've also started to consume a lot more of each other's news and really started to understand each other in a way that you even didn't before. So not that you were ever, combative, but even more so now, it feels like you're more connected in a way that you ever have been before, which has been really lovely to witness. And I think that there needs to be more conversations like this with people, because the more you actually talk to each other, the more it's oh, hang on, there's so much we agree on. And even the stuff that we don't agree on, I can understand why you are that way. So that has been a beautiful part of the whole experience. And I certainly know more about American politics than I know even about my own country now. I'm really good at a dinner party if they want to talk about American politics.
Has anything been surprising to you coming out of this project?
I expected you to hate on Trump more than you have. He's displayed pretty atrociously, from our side. It's man, that guy, tell you what. And even just recently with the World Cup and he was on the stage, and they're trying to take a photo of the Spanish, the winners, and he's on the stage, not getting off. And then there was this was how it was presented in Australian news. And there's this like Aussie editor guy like that was videoing it. And he's like, oh, we'll have to edit Trump out. And like then that made the news because it came up.
Yes.
So we're all laughing, being like, "What a god! This guy is just ridiculous! Like, just get off the stage, you know." So there's things like that.
Yes.
We laugh a lot.
Yes.
At him, I think.
At him, yeah.
Yeah, at him. And I expected you guys to be a bit more like, "Oh God, what a dingbat," to put it nicely.
Yes.
But you've been a lot more moderate in that way than I expected.
I think, honestly, I am so tired of him, and I'm so tired of the breath he takes that I want to talk about other things. It's been interesting doing this, and Jolene and I have talked about it, that I definitely have friends that won't listen because I won't fight. I am fighting in a different way because I think there's a much bigger problem than this blowhard named Trump. And that's my opinion about him. But if I say that every time, it gets kind of boring. Like, so let's talk. What else let's solve the problem. And I think one thing that Jolene and I are learning is that this cross-partisan space, we're not just the only ones. There are other people out there that are incredibly passionate about it. And I think that that's been the most interesting gift out of this thus far is like, We've Got to Talk to be part of the solution. Like there's this, Josh, I was just showing it to Josh the other day, and Jolene, I'm not sure if you know this person, but she has a podcast. It's on YouTube. Her name is Jennifer Welsh, and it's called I've Had It, and it's a huge left podcast. And I looked, I was like, who is this person? And Josh had no idea. And I was like, oh, she's huge. And I guess she was like, she had a reality show like she's from Texas and Oklahoma. And she was on one of those reality shows and then became a podcaster. I have to say she's funny. She's really funny. And she says all the things that everyone wants me to say. But that's not what this is about. And that's frustrating to people. Because I feel like we're asking for something else.
And I would also say, like, if I were defending Trump all the time, I think that would piss you off more. And so then you would have to go, no, wait a sec. I mean, right? And then there would be this. I think we both have come to an understanding that there are some things that he's done that I do like. And we have talked about that. And I have given you my reason. And I think that we respect each other enough that you're like, okay, I'll give you that. All right.
Right.
That's what you think.
Right.
But to have us getting in the dirt and going at it, I just don't think we have found that that's just not productive. And that's what everybody else is doing.
What everyone else is doing.
And like you said, we're not solving anything. So if we can go, yeah, okay, I didn't like that he did this, and we can talk about the individual things instead of him as a person, because I think we all agree him as a person. And so we are trying to have productive conversations instead of going after each other.
And Jolene, wouldn't you think also that because it was reminding what you were saying about how at the beginning we had much more of a sense of we needed to defend our side, whatever our side is. And the longer that we have been together, and maybe even what you're sensing when you edit us every week is like, there are times that I'm like, wait, I agree with you, Jolene, in that little part. Or you agree with me on that little part. And you see, oh, this isn't red or blue. Like, we've just been so trained in the last 15 years to just fight like hell, and there's no nuance. And the more I talk to my friend and I listen to her, and then we've had a lot of conservative guests on lately, and I'm like, yep. Does that make me less of a lefty? No. It just means I agree with that. Like, and what does that even mean anymore? I don't care. Like, part of me, we're going to have a podcast we're recording on Sunday talking about, like, how partyless we feel. Like, what does it all mean? It all just feels dumb.
No, I think it's interesting because, again, like as I said before there, right, how that's what I was expecting to happen. You guys really disagreeing on things and you hating on Trump more and having to have discussions about, that between conservative and Democrat. That's what I was expecting. I think that's what everyone would have been expecting. Yeah. And that's why it's really interesting that it hasn't gone that way. It dives that way sometimes when he does something that you really have to talk about. Yeah. But that's what makes the show an interesting thing to edit and a fun listen too. And I love that you're having more guests on that you're agreeing with on things that you didn't really even think about potentially before. Mm-hmm. And I think from the Australian system, we don't side with parties even, or I certainly don't. It's very much more like at each election, we'll look at it and go, and my generation probably more so than the ones above, we'll look at it and go, okay, what are they doing? What are they doing? Okay, this time I'm going to vote for this party. Mm-hmm. Like it really changes. Mm-hmm. It really does, depending on what people are going for, what they're talking about, and what they're running on. It's just not as.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to do this way if you've always voted that way, then you're probably going to always vote that way. It doesn't happen as much, certainly younger down.
Well, it's funny because Jolene and I talked about it in the episode that just aired, that having Layla Zayden come in, the future caucus, who it's a millennial and Gen Z, like activating them, and that for them, it's much more of an older versus young thing versus, yes, there are Republicans and Democrats. They want to actually work together in a way that it makes me think, like, and I said it in the last episode, like, why aren't we being more open to voting for just who we believe in, who we think is going to do a good job?
Or who's going to work with.
Or who's going to work
both
with.
sides. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's something that I was confused by, I suppose, going like, why do they always just vote for the side they've always voted for? Like, why does that not change, depending on how your views change and how you feel? And then that to me is an interesting part of it that I certainly don't have.
It makes me think, Jolene, that it's not very American. That aren't Americans like, don't tell me what to do. I'm independent. I'm a free thinker. Like, if we really were like that we would vote for who really spoke to us in that moment.
Mm-hmm. But instead, we're
sort of following.
Yeah, like, you're a liberal, then these are the things you should think.
That's right.
Exactly.
And if you go off that, you're kicked out.
Yeah,
that
we don't want you on our team anymore.
That doesn't feel very American to me.
And then you wouldn't even tell your friends necessarily if you voted for the other
ashamed.
side.
You're too
be
ashamed.
Like, oh God,
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's also one of the reasons, Brianna, and you know this, I guess, but like why the left was so shocked when Trump won by a landslide, because the Republicans didn't not all of them, but some of them were too embarrassed. They weren't going to tell you.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say, Jolene?
100%. I would agree.
Yeah.
I think things are going to change.
Do you, Jo?
I think things are going to change after Trump gets out. I just think that we're going to have a different perspective.
So in a way, Trump's been really good for America. Potentially. If you think about what's coming next and you think about what's been happening, all the conversations that people are now starting to have that they didn't have before, and what is acceptable and what isn't. It's like he's almost put all those things on display for people to go, oh, okay, this is what's okay and this is what isn't okay, and having different conversations. So sometimes you need people that really are confronting in order to get the best out of people.
I like that. Do you like?
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think we should possibly talk about a good for the soul, Miss Brianna.
So my good for the soul is this book here. It's called Music as Medicine. It is by a guy called Daniel Levitin.
Okay.
And this book is so good as a creative person because he's a neuroscientist as well as a crazy good jazz musician. The book is all about how you can use music to heal from lots of things. And there's a huge part of it about like Alzheimer's and just the way memory works with music and how you can, use it to do a bunch of different things. And it says how we can harness its therapeutic power. It's made me so inspired. It's made me, when I started reading this book, it started making me go, oh, wow, like music to me is not just about, I want to write a fun song. Music to me has always been very ingrained in like, I want to help people feel things that they're not allowing themselves to feel. And so if I can write lyrics and write songs that then people listen to and go, oh, I really resonate with that, or that's made me feel something, or that's made me work through something that's really hard, music to me is really powerful. And so reading that book, it kicked me up the butt a little bit, because I'd been writing stuff like a whole new sort of album and sort of just taking my time with it. But the book was making me feel like it's more urgent to put these things back out there and go, oh, okay, this is a part of me that I know I'm very good at, and that I just want to make sure that people are using music to sort of help themselves feel things. So, yeah, that book is good.
That's amazing.
Is awesome.
Not just the urgency of it, but does it make you think about how you would write differently?
When I write, I never write from my own experiences, because my experience of life thus far has been too good almost, to me, for me to feel like I really have much to present that is like deep emotions that I have, because generally I'm pretty solid. And so a lot of what I write, or the way I write, is when I'm talking to people, I'm really diving into, like, I have a lot of deep conversations. It's hard for me to have a surface level conversation with someone, because I really want to know them. Like, I really want to know what's going on. And then I'll take those, thank you, and then I'll, write a song about it. When my mum was going through really bad anxiety and she had like a full on nervous breakdown and she couldn't get out of bed, and like just that kind of stuff, seeing other people go through things and then going, if it was me in that situation, how would I handle it? What would I be feeling? And then write something about it that then, helps them process it too. One of my good friends got diagnosed with a terrible cancer. That was my first time where I wrote something where I was like, oh, I need to process this emotion because I don't know how. Like, I don't know how to do it.
Wow. That's really cool. Okay. Do you have a would you rather?
Yes, I do.
Would you rather be our producer for another year, or be the lead moderator in a presidential debate?
Oh my God. There is literally no way I would ever want to be a lead moderator in a presidential debate. Can you imagine?
Yay! So you're gonna choose us.
What an easy... You didn't give me a hard choice at all.
We did that on purpose.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. What's yours?
Is it my turn? Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Ready? So, would you rather have a monobrow that you can't get rid of? Okay. This monobrow is like big, it's chunky, it's right here, and it's just always there. And you wax it, and then immediately it's back, and it's just right on your face. Okay. Monobrow.
Okay.
Always there. Or you have a pimple that's like here. So for those that are listening, it's like my cheek. It's like on my cheek. And it's pretty big, and it's like got a good whitehead on it, and you can't pop it. And it's always there. So you've either got a monobrow, okay, that you can't wax off, or you've got a pimple that it's always a whitehead, and even if you like squeeze it, it's just going to come back.
Okay, I've got this answer.
Get it.
For me, I'm going with the unibrow, the monobrow, because I would just have bangs, and then it would cover it. Like, if you could just, I would just always keep bangs, so you couldn't see it. I mean, a white zit, I would always want to be getting at it.
Gross. Gross.
I know.
Gross. I just rock the monobrow. I would just be like, yeah, what? Like, this is what's happening.
This is my face.
This is my face, and this is my look.
This is in
and I'm just
style.
gonna rock it and then watch people follow.
Oh my God, that's great.
Thank you, Brianna.
Thank
This
you,
was
Brianna.
so fun. We learned
Thank
so
you.
much from you.
Thank
This
you.
was really good. Just, I mean, because we get to talk to you, but also because I think you gave us a perspective that we don't always get.
Mm-hmm.
And so, thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you for taking time. Thank you for just nurturing us and our show and being you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. I love it so much. It's something I look forward to doing every week. It's just like when I get to sit down and go, oh, yay, I'm doing these guys today. You know, and then just go,
It's Julie and Nicole.
edit it. I just love it. It's just such a good time. And I feel like you're doing something really positive for the world. So I'm on board.
Thank you.
Aw,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Thank you. We will see you next time. Thumbs up. We've Got to Talk is produced across the world by the wildly talented, creative, and hilarious team at Bambi Media. Our theme song is Jump Jive Swing by Space Train Unlimited. Thank you so much for listening, and join us every week for another episode of We've Got to Talk.